Namaste. I felt very inspired because I'm sick. I didn't want to post anything today, to be honest. The body feels sick, but I was reading some verses by Ramana Maharshi, and I felt tremendously inspired to talk about this because it touched me so deeply. See, that's the thing. When you wake up, you become fully spontaneous with the flow of existence and life itself. You become one with the universe and one with totality. And because of that, you are in the source. And being in the source, which creates everything, which is fundamentally who you are, and all that really does exist, that is the first, let's say, big understanding or first big awakening you can have, is when you've just fully realized that you've never been that little me, that little person, because you've realized and seen through the concepts and realized that it is a mental construct. But then what happens once you've seen through that? The amazing thing is you realize you've always been safe, more than safe. You come home. When you realize that, you come home. You come home to what is. You come home to just this. And this can never be understood with the mind. The mind is asleep. You're asleep. If you still take yourself to be your thoughts and your emotions and your body-mind identity and the made-up conditioning, because remember, it's all conditioning, and you were not born with an identity. That's one of the quickest ways you can tell that it's not you. And the other one is the fact that it's impermanent. Every thought you have, every emotion you have comes and goes. Again, watch previous videos to go fully into that. But I wanted to read this quotation that really inspired me by Ramana Maharshi. He said, "The ego's phenomenal existence is transcended when you dive into the source from where the I arises." I'll read it again. This is so powerful. The ego's phenomenal existence. The ego is the idea that you have of yourself, which is not you because it's an idea. You are the witness of it. You are always here before the idea or a thought comes. You're here during a thought. And once the thought is gone, you're still here. Had you been a thought, when the thought goes, as you witnessed it, as the thought goes, you would also be gone. You would not be here to talk about it. So the fact of the matter is, you've witnessed the whole thing. You also witness all the emotions. It's like a screen. It's like a movie screen. There's a movie playing on the screen. You're not the movie. You're the screen. But it's a very intimate experience, right? I mean, it feels very intimate. But the fact is, when you wake up to that, you also see how this is all just like a movie. You're playing a character in a movie. It's incredible when you see through that, actually. So the ego's phenomenal existence, the concepts, the idea you have of who you are through concepts. The ego's phenomenal existence is transcended, means you overcome it. You see it for what it is, an absolute and total illusion. And you then realize you've been witnessing all of it. So when it's transcended, when you've seen through it as an illusion, you dive, and then when you dive into the source from where the I arises. So what happens is, if I were to ask you right now to drop all of your concepts, every concept you have, every single thought you have, just drop it. You can pick it up in a few seconds or in a minute. If you drop everything, you're going to reach the point where there's something that you cannot drop. When you drop everything, you will reach a point where there is something you cannot drop. And what you cannot drop is you. So notice, what comes and goes is never you, because you're witnessing it. It's a dynamic flow of life. But that which remains, the you, is experienced. It's not, experience is not even the word. Now we're going deeper, so it's harder to speak about it, because language is fully conditioned. You were not born speaking language, so it limits us to concepts. Language limits us to concepts by virtue of its programming. Nothing is original. You've never had an original thought. Because thought is expressed through language, and language is conditioned. You were not born thinking with language. You were not born speaking a language. It was taught. You learned that. It was conditioned. You were programmed. And you've been witnessing all of it. So when you wake up, you see, oh my goodness, wow. That first big awakening, that's what it is. You realize that little me was the whole time was just a figment of your imagination. And the reason it can never be satisfied is because it's an illusion. You can't satisfy an illusion. It will never be happy. Because it's always in a stage of metamorphosis. It's always changing. And it's as a result of its conditioning. But anyway, watch the previous videos. We'll tell you more about it. So when we drop everything, I want you to experience the I with me right now. Go to a quiet place. If you're not in a quiet place, please pause the video. When you get to a quiet place, resume the video. I want to guide you through that. Okay? So right now, I want you to just drop every single concept. Be here right now in this moment, because you already are here. And that's why it's so difficult, because you already are awake, actually. You're already fully awake. It's just that you've been dreaming. You're dreaming. And once you wake up from that dream, and the reason it's called dreaming is because it really feels like a dream, but the only way you know it's a dream is once you've woken up from it. That's the thing, right? Because when you're in a dream, you don't realize you're in a dream. I mean, some dreams are nightmares. And this dream state, which is a conceptual reality that we've formed and is divorced from actual reality, by the way, it can turn into nightmare. That's what it did with me. And when you are in a nightmare, what happens? You're shaken up, you're shaken awake. That's what happened to me. Shook me up. Beautiful. Horrible experience, but wow, was it worth it. The awakening to realize who you really are as eternal being, eternal presence, beyond any figment of your imagination, beyond any concept that you could ever imagine, because it is here, it is now, it is present, it is boundaryless. There is no boundary. So that's your I. The I am. That's the firstborn. You are born I am. When you're born consciousness. It's a word that points to what you are. Don't get stuck in any words whatsoever. So again, drop everything. Be here with me right now. Once you've dropped all your conditioning, and the problem with conditioning is that it's been so repeated and so deeply programmed in your mind that the assimilation after the awakening is what takes a while. Like for me, it's still getting deeper. And there is no bottom to your understanding, because you melt into the presence of the divine. You melt into divinity. It's incredible. And that's what you are. And I want you to see that. But only if that's your desire. This cannot be forced. So the I am, right now. Do you have the sense I am? Do you exist? If I ask you that question, are you aware right now? So this is intuitive. You don't think about that, by the way. Are you aware right now? Do you exist? This is intuitive. Don't think about it. Do you exist? Okay, if you're watching this and you're conscious, of course you do. But what do you exist as? Don't go to your mind, because those are stories. You're not a story. Thoughts have less reality than space. Space has more reality than thoughts. You don't need thoughts to exist, but thoughts need you to exist. So you have the power over them. And that's the mirage. That's the oxymoron in this sense, because we've always thought it was the other way. We always thought the thoughts had power over us. Thoughts only have power over you when you're dreaming. Have you realized that? So that's the perfect analogy for this reality. You are dreaming this reality. And when you wake up, you realize that there was no dream, there was no dreamer, and there was no reality. It's just one organic source, a beautiful, eternal field of pure benevolence and love. It doesn't know any of this. It doesn't know the play of the person. It's extremely innocent and beautiful. One of the ways you can really experience that is in animals. I have a little dog. You've probably seen it in the videos. And there's this beautiful innocence that just comes from the self, from the true you. Because the dogs don't have that conditioning that humans do, right? It's like when they look when you have a dog, at least my dog, when I put her in front of a mirror, she doesn't see that it's her. She doesn't have a concept of herself, right? So think about a baby for the first time, that its eyes opens and it kind of sees, you put a mirror in front of it, doesn't know what that is. But it's taught, it's conditioned, it's programmed. So my dear friends, your practice. Find a quiet place. Take a few breaths if you need to. If you need to ground yourself, if you're not able to just drop it, ground yourself in your breathing. Just observe it. Remember, you are observing it already. So it is effortless. And presence and being is effortless, by the way. And that's the beautiful thing, is that once you see through all the whole charade, you realize that the foundation of the building of your ego is like a building. You're building like a big building, like a skyscraper, right? Little do you know, the foundation is an illusion. But it's only when you finally realize that foundation is suspect, that the foundation is not stable, the building automatically collapses. Like that's what happened with me. It had to happen. We all have a path, But don't try to get that with your mind. So find a quiet place. If you need to anchor yourself with your breath, do that. If not, anchor yourself in the presence of who you are. If you've already started to realize that, if you can really be in the I am, be in the awareness, because you're already doing that automatically. It is effortless, by the way. You just have to relax into it. So relax into this moment. Part of that is surrendering, because whatever you surrender, you start detaching, and then you realize that you can observe them, and you cannot be what you observe. Again, quiet place, surrender, breathe, ease yourself, relax your body into the present moment, and surrender to whatever is going on. If you have a lot of resistance, surrender to the resistance. If you're resisting resistance, surrender to the resistance of the resistance. Allow it to be there. That's basically what surrender means. Don't have a fight with it, because then you're going back into self-hypnosis. That is what the state of the dream is. That is the state of the little me. The ego is a hypnotized, contrived state. That's why it's like a dream. Does that make sense? I've spoken too much already. You have to be careful not to talk too much, because then it becomes mental, right? Then it becomes more concepts. It's just concepts. So be here, be still, and know that I am. Bless you.